Hey, welcome to another 10-minute chat pulling apart all Putin's narratives for invading Ukraine. Based on my experiences, I'm Shaun, former Ukrainian Marine, former British serviceman, and today we're going to be talking about saving the Russian speakers.
Johnny's number 3. Johnny Ебать! Пол, да? Пена, да. Пена!
It's Ukraine's territory. Ukraine should be trying to win it back as far as I'm concerned.
Surprisingly, when I got to Ukraine in 2018, Ukrainian wasn't the first language I learned. It was Russian. I'm not an academic. I'm not a Russian scholar or claim to know everything in history, the deep history within Ukraine. I can't claim to be that. I am just a trigger puller, but I am a guy that's lived next door to Russia for several years, married to Ukrainian. I mean, one of the biggest problems I had, and one of the biggest decisions I had, was to make that decision to stay and fight for Ukraine. It wasn't really a decision I had to make. I'd made friends here for 5, 6 years before the full-scale invasion. I understood over that time about Ukraine and how Russian colonialism really subdued and suppressed the Ukrainian language, especially during the Russian Empire. Russification, I think they call this. And this was, continued into the Soviet era. And really the reason we spoke Russian in Mariupol was it was a byproduct of imperialism and colonialism. So again, when you hear these buzzwords that Putin likes to spout and sell to his American audience like Alex Jones, globalists. Russia is an imperialist globalist. It's the original deep state, um, and the FSB being or the KGB back in the day being an intricate part of managing that. It's the secret police, and for me, it was just Ukraine was changing. It wanted to move to a democratic footing. The younger generation were looking towards Europe, and really Mariupol was a Ukrainian city. I mean, Vyshyvanka Day, and was packed. The streets were packed. It was parties, beer, barbecues. But really, it was just the older population that I found. Some of those were sympathetic towards the good old Soviet days, and really everybody got on. I called Mariupol. It was like the coastline for the home and away supporters all got together and had a drink and a party and sun. I mean, it was a mixture of people. Life just went on, even with the ATO and even with the frozen conflict from 2014. People just carried on normal life. I mean, if you spoke to most people in Mariupol, most Ukrainians during just before the full-scale invasion, it was never going to happen. But to say that you're invading a country for to save the Russian speakers is just so far removed from the truth, especially when you slaughtered over 25,000 in just Mariupol, including women and children. Most of my friends who didn't want to be a part of Russia have left, lost their homes. The communities lost their homes, destroyed. Now they're in Europe as part of the 6 million or odd refugees that have left Ukraine at the start of the war. Quite a lot have come back. Actually, it's quite hard to get a train in sometimes into Ukraine as people are starting to have some more confidence in the military and the lines that are stabilised, and now they're coming back. But you're talking a huge area where people have lost their homes. We've lost 2 homes. My wife lost a family home in Crimea. We lost our first home in Mariupol. And Russia have made extremely difficult for people like me to go back. First of all, they've taken my DNA and sanctioned me and told me if I come back, I'll be arrested. Stay away from any Russian-controlled territory, so I can't get my house back. My wife obviously doesn't want to go back because she's linked to me, so we can't get a house. So the Russians have essentially stolen our property. So again, my wife is a Russian speaker, first Russian speaker, and then she knows Ukrainian as well and English. So generally, I mean, we spoke Russian because Russians don't really understand Ukrainian. And that's, like I said, a byproduct of Russian colonialism.
Shaun from London, England. I fought for Ukraine, yet I picked a side and we lost. I can accept this. Flew into Kiev 2018. Anything else I've done is voluntary. I'm not hidden. I did some my training with the British Army. I've not lied about that. I did 9 years as a British soldier.
Let's make no mistakes. When Mariupol fell, Russia slaughtered over 25,000, women and children included. They were trapped in Mariupol. The current figures are grossly underestimated. There's somewhere suspected in the region of about 80,000 people in total who are trapped in Mariupol, couldn't get out, who were basically bombed if they tried to leave by the Russians, who had complete air superiority of Mariupol, came up from the Azov Sea, also in from the east towards Mariupol, and then over the course of several weeks encircled Mariupol very, very quickly. And from around about the 15th of March, nobody was getting in and getting out. Any green zone that was opened up was generally bombed by Russia. So, there was nowhere for them to go, and make no mistakes about it, they hit the theatre, they hit the maternity hospital. I was there. I know exactly what happened, visualised what happened, seen what happened, talked to the people on the ground who knew what happened, and I'm with a collective who visibly were a part of that, who have been released and since spoke about that, as well as other things like Olivka. So you know, Mariupol essentially was, the people were trapped, and we know now from the ICC warrants and the kids and the children and everything, was quite a focus for Russia. I don't think they expected. I think they expected to take Kiev in the early days. I think they totally got their intelligence wrong and got absolutely smashed, but. I was kind of thinking that their plans just completely failed, so they circled and settled in to take, East Ukraine as much as they could in those early days, pulling troops out from Kiev and back around to Mariupol, because they were just hemorrhaging people, and getting beaten by a very, confident and well prepared military over the the years I was there. For 5 years I was there, we were teaching them, moving away from centralized command to decentralized command, doing joint exercises. So we knew what they were capable of. I mean, take Mariupol. I don't think we prepared in 8 years well enough to defend a city. That's a different argument. But generally, the military wasn't the military Russia thought it was. And with the Western aid that came in after the initial invasion, I think that's put Ukraine on the map as one of the best militaries, most adaptable militaries, who have seen control of the Black Sea Fleet, the Black Sea taken away from the Russians, sinking over 35% of the Black Sea Fleet. And Ukraine don't have a conventional navy, so it's seen drone warfare, and Ukraine adapts very well at drone warfare and fighting within their capabilities, enough that it pushed Russia back. Russia losing over 50% of what it initially captured in 2022. So, a very competent military. It's totally different to what I was used to, NATO standards and in the West, but a very competent military nonetheless. So, going back to Mariupol saving the Russian speakers, again, it's just another narrative. When you've slaughtered over 25,000, estimated to be somewhere around 80,000 civilians, including women and children, leaving mass graves you can visibly see from space and satellites, then you really can't say that it saved any Russian speakers. The problems with Mariupol now, and talking to friends and people that are trapped in the occupied territories, is that there are a lot of problems with corruption now. The renaming of streets, the leaving out of plots, new plots put in that haven't even been built yet, not regenerating the area very well, showing video footage of the same set block of flats that are poorly built, that have now, you know, been released on YouTube as being very poorly built. And now they're susceptible to the economy and inflation and corruption that's going on, mass corruption. Even the head of the rebuilding of Mariupol has just been jailed and put in prison for mass corruption. So, you know, it is about Russians moving in, ethnically cleansing the area. And while we were actually in Mariupol, I was talking to a prisoner when I was held in captivity, who said to me that there were routes going back into Russia, green corridors, but the deal was you couldn't go back to Mariupol for 3 years once you'd accepted to get out of the war zone. So, you know, I can't clarify that. I don't know if that's true, but he has no reason to lie to me. He was in prison with me, so you know, there's lots of corruption going on. That saying, anywhere that Russia has liberated in the occupied territories has just been flattened, literally destroyed. So it's non-existent. They're not saving the Russian speakers. They're actually holding Russians speaking Ukrainians to ransom, even for basic human rights, water, medical. They're forcing them to take Russian passports, so they're not entitled to that. Again, Ukrainian language has been subdued and banned within the occupied territories. It's now you have to speak Russian while they Russify the Ukrainians in the occupied territories. They've also obviously stolen, you know, according to Lvova Belova, 700,000 children have been taken into Russia. So where they gone with, you know, some in-depth Financial Times investigations recently just found some on Russian adoption sites that have not been returned to their families in Ukraine. They're making it terribly hard to get the kids back, near on impossible. And there's reports and videos and testimonies saying that these Ukrainian children are now taken to these re-education centers. So again, it's just lies, more imperialistic lies, more debunking needs to do, more activity with those people that should be saying something, you know, saying something or doing something about it. These are kids, these are children, this is a culture that Russia is trying to wipe out. So, again, Russian imperialism. Hey, I just want to thank you for listening for another 10-minute rant about the sodding war. If you're interested in any of the stories, you can buy my book, Live, Fight, Survive. There's a hard copy, paperback, audio, ebook. It's on Amazon and all good bookstores. You can even download it off Spotify. It's also available on Kindle, and it's translated into about 7 languages, I think now, including Polish and Ukrainian. So I'll leave links to that on the page. I'll also say something about my charity Prevail. I'm an ambassador for. We run ambulances on the front line, stabilising casualties. We couldn't do it without donations from you. We live from hand to mouth. We do mine awareness and demining. So literally, we couldn't do it. So I'll leave the links to buy me a coffee on the footer to this video. But thank you for listening. Thank you for support. Keep supporting Ukraine. Slava Ukraine.